Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 10 of my C++ video tutorial series, and finally we're going to cover object-oriented programming in this tutorial, as well as private public constructors, inheritance, and I'm also going to teach you how to create two fighters and have them fight to the death. Like always, all the code is in the description underneath this video, as well as a transcript of the things that I say, and I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. Alright, so here we are, and you can see the different libraries I have included. Now, basically, it's very simple. A class is a blueprint that is going to, in which you are going to describe whatever type of real-world object you want to create. Okay, so a animal, for example, is going to have two things. It is going to have attributes. It's going to have things like names and heights and weights, and it's also going to have capabilities. It's going to have the ability to eat and run and make sounds. And every real-world object has those two things, and with object-oriented programming, we are going to describe those real-world objects. So, sometimes you want to keep things private whenever you are, and this is our blueprint right here. Class is a blueprint for creating objects. So sometimes you want to keep some of your variables, or fields as they are very often called, private. And private just means that these things will only be accessible inside of our class. So we are going to say that we want to have a string, and that is going to represent the name. That is an attribute that our animal will have. We are also going to say that we want to have a height, another thing, and we're also going to say we have a weight. So there you go. Those are some attributes that our animal objects all are going to have. Also inside of here, I'm going to have a static variable. Now, a static variable is going to share the same value for all objects of an animal class. Every single object is going to have the same value. So if the value changes, it changes for every single animal. It is a shared value between all objects of the animal class. So what we're doing here is we are saying that we want to, every single time a new animal object is created, we want to keep a tally. Now, often static variables either are going to have a utility value, which means it's something that the object itself doesn't do as a real-world object. It doesn't keep track. Animals can't count. And also, you can see in that another reason why things are often static. It is because the real-world object wouldn't have the capability to do it. Animals can't count, so that's a good tip that this is probably something that should be static. Now, public fields, on the other hand, or public methods, are going to be accessible anywhere that the object itself is accessible. So these are things that are going to be accessible outside of our blueprint or our class. So if we want to be able to get the name, we are going to have a way for the user to call for it. So we are going to create a function that goes and gets our name and returns it. So this provides the option to get the name, but at the same time, it protects the data. All right, what else can we do? Well, because we don't know what an object's name is, because our class is going to be created before the object itself, we can refer to all objects using the this keyword. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to allow the user to set the name. And I might want to, in the real world, protect the data that is being sent here. But in this situation, I'm just going to let it be freeform. So if I want to refer to the object by name, but I have no idea what the object's name is because the class is created before the object, I go this, which refers to this object. So I'm going to say this object's name needs to be changed to whatever the name was that was passed into our object. And you can see over here on the right side of the screen how advanced things are going to get. We are actually going to create this code that's going to allow Thor to attack, and yep, Hulk died in this situation. So that's something that's coming up. All right, so here we go. So this provides us a way for us to get a value that was passed to our function setName, which is going to be the name variable, and assign it to the object's name. And this guy right here, this little arrow we have here is known as the pointer operator, and it is used to access an object's fields. Okay, so what are some other things we're going to need to do? Well, we're going to need to provide the option to get the height for our animal. And once again, we're just going to come in here and go return and height, right, like that. We don't need to use this in this situation. The reason why we use this here is because name is the same there as it is here. All right, so what else are we going to do? Well, we're also going to provide the option for them to set our height. So set height. And this, in this situation, is going to be a double that's passed inside of here. And let's just go and give it the same name once again. And then we're going to say the height for our object is going to be equal to whatever height was passed into this function. And then we're going to do almost exactly the same thing for our weight. So let's just copy that and let's change this to weight and change this to weight. And a weight and a weight and a weight and a weight, weight and weight. So there we go. Now we have the capability to get those values as well as to do other things with them. Okay, we're also going to declare another function here that is going to allow the user to set all the values or reset them because our constructor is going to be used. And as someone pointed out, you do not need to provide a name here with your prototypes. I almost always do it, mainly just because I think it makes the code more readable. But I just wanted to show you that option because somebody brought it up in the comments on another part of my tutorial. Also, we are going to have a constructor, and a constructor is going to be called each time an object is created, and it is called animal. There's a tip that is a constructor. It has the same name as the class itself, and you're going to receive a string and a double and another double with your constructor. And once again, these are prototypes, and the real methods are going to be created after the class. Another thing, I can also create an overloaded constructor to handle those situations in which no information is passed, no attributes are passed, and that's all you have to do to have that set. You're also going to have a thing called a deconstructor, which is going to be called automatically when an object is deleted or is no longer being used. And to create that, you just go tilde and animal. This is kind of pointless because this really doesn't do anything. The default in this situation works just as well as basically creating a deconstructor that doesn't do anything. But you could, and very often should, create custom deconstructors anytime in which you would want to release memory or different system resources. But for right now, we're just going to keep it like that. Also, I'm going to create a static method, and it is going to get the total number of animals that are created. And it's important to understand that static methods can only access static fields. So I'm going to call this get number of animals, and it is just going to return the num of animals whenever it is called. And there you go. And this guy right here is only going to be able to access this static right here. All right, it's not going to be able to access anything else because it belongs to the class and not to the object. And I'm also going to create another one, and this is going to be a method or function. When I say method and function, same thing. Field, variable, same thing. All right, I'm creating a function here or a method here called toString, and I'm specifically creating it so that I can overwrite it, which means that I'm going to override it later on. So I am going to come in here and go animal and number of animals. And you're going to be able to refer to your class fields and methods by going in here with these two colons you have right here. And I'm going to set this to 0. And that is a static field that we have inside of there. I'm also going to define our method for set all. And this is just going to be void and animal, and again you're going to use your colons inside of here and set all, and then I'm going to define what is going to go inside of here. So it's going to receive a string, and that's going to have the value of name, or then the variable is going to be called name. And then I'm also going to get height, and then let's go down to the next line, and we're going to go double, and we're going to get weight. And then I can come in and set all these values. Once again, we're going to use that pointer operator. So we're going to go, this name is going to be equal to name, and this weight is, well, let's go, whoops, like this. is going to be equal to weight. And then we're going to do the same thing for height. And I on purpose did this in the wrong order just to show you. Really, I did. I know it sounds like a cop out, but I'm specifically going to cover weight. See, it came in as height and weight. Doesn't matter in what order you assign them. And then I'm also going to call our static field inside of here num of animals, and I'm going to increment that. So you can see how we can do all of those different things. Now I'm also going to come in here and create our constructor. So we go animal and animal, and this is going to receive a string, of course, and that's going to be name, and a double, which is going to be height, and another double, which is going to be weight. And there we go. And there's no reason to type all this out. It's going to basically get all of these things. It's going to do exactly the same thing as what this is. So there we go, threw that in there and got all that in order. Is everything cool here? Yes, looks fine. Oh, I see. I put a comma in there by accident. Okay, so there's our constructor. What else are we gonna need to create inside of here? I am going to also create another constructor that's going to handle the default, which is what's going to happen if they don't pass in any attributes. And I'm just going to copy this guy right here and paste that down inside of there. And then for the name, I'm just going to put this, and I'm just going to give some default values. So this is going to handle if the user creates an animal and doesn't do anything with it. All right, so what else we got? Well, we have our deconstructor. I'm just going to move this up here, and you can pause the video, of course, if I'm going a little bit too quick for you to type it in, or you can get the code that's in the description. So for the deconstructor, you're just going to put a tilde inside of there, right like this. And the deconstructor, like I said, you could release system resources and things, but I'm just going to come in and I'm going to print out a message. So I'm going to say animal, and maybe we want to put the name of the animal inside here. So we can go this, and you can put a space between that pointer operator if you'd like. And what else can we do? Let's just say destroyed. So destroyed, and there we go. And just throw a new line inside of there. And that's perfectly fine. And I'll get into more advanced things with deconstructors later on. I also created toString up inside of here. And I said that I specifically wanted toString to be overwritten by other methods. So I'm going to throw this inside of here, or actually it's going to be overwritten by a dog class that's going to come here later on when we talk about inheritance. But for now, this is just going to come in, and it's going to print out this, and I can throw a space in there just to show that that's possible. Whoops, there we go. And is, and what else can we do? Let's go and print out all the information about our animal here. So height, and then I'm gonna go centimeters tall, and get the weight as well. This, once again, weight. And if you have any questions, leave them in the description below, and I will definitely answer them. I answer every question that I get, but understand that YouTube only sends me new comments. If you reply to a comment, I will not see that for some unknown reason. Okay, so there we go. We have toString working. Now, if we would actually want to use this, we have to go down into main, and to create a new animal object, let's call it Fred. You just go like that. That's it. Pretty simple and straightforward. And you can see here that we did not set any of the values, so it's going to use this default right here. You know what the values for Fred are going to be because you can see them right there. But we could come in and we could say something like Fred.toString, and that's going to print out all the information we have on Fred. And you can see it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a height, and so forth, but it prints out whatever we've got right there. And now let's go and give Fred a name and all this other stuff. So if we want to set all those things, we just go set. And height, you can see we're using the dot operator and not that pointer operator. And let's say he has a height of 33 centimeters, and Fred has a weight that is going to be equal to 10 kilograms, and Fred obviously has a name, and wild guess what that name is. It's Fred. And let's go and output the information again just to show that yes, indeed, we went and changed those values. And you can see it, first off, it does nothing, and then it goes Fred is 33 centimeters tall, 10 kilograms of weight. And you can also see the deconstructor was created, and Fred was sadly destroyed. All right, so we got all of that set up. Let's go and do another demonstration. Let's say that you would want to use the constructor. How would you do that? Well, you could go animal and Tom, and then you just go and call the constructor. So Tom, and let's say 36 and 15, and let's go and print out this information. Now let's just go Tom to string. There we go. And run it, and you can see that Tom is 30, all that stuff prints out, and then Tom was destroyed, and then Fred was destroyed. Okay, so cool stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a new class, and it is going to be called dog. And dog is going to inherit everything that is in animal in the dog class. So it's going to get all of the fields as well as all the methods that are defined in animal. Now we can, of course, go and create new ones. So we're going to create a string, for example, that's going to be a sound, and we can come in here and give it a default value of wolf. We're also going to be able to have our public fields and methods as well. And so let's go and create something called make sound and put that inside of there. And you're going to be able to get access to the name for your animal just by referring to it. So let's say we go standard cout, and we can just go the dog, and then to get the name we can go this and get name, and then we can go and also reference says and reference the sound in exactly the same way. So just, it's almost as if it just exists right inside of the dog, anything that's inside of the animal, because that's the way that it does exist. All right, so then we'll go and throw our new line inside of there. So we have a public function. We're also going to be able to create, let's just move this up. We're going to be able to create a constructor that is specific to our dog. So we're going to be able to get a string and a double and another double, all the things that animal has. And then we're going to get an additional thing, which is going to be the sound that our animal or our dog is going to make. We can also create a default constructor, and let's also have our default constructor whenever it is created. Let's go and call the animal default constructor and have it go and initialize everything that was done in the animal. So that's this guy right here. It's going to call this function, and automatically, even if our dog default constructor is called, all of this stuff is going to be done. Okay? And it is very easy to do that. All you need to do is to come in and just go and put the colon here, 1 colon, followed by animal. And that will take care of that. And what else can we do? Well, we want to overwrite to strings so that it does dog specific things. So I'm going to go void and to string. I'm not going to create a deconstructor this time. I'm just going to let the default work because it works perfectly fine. And what else are we going to do? I think that's it. So now outside of that class definition, we are going to create our constructor. So dog and colon dog, and I'm going to go standard and string and name, and then we'll get our height as well. And let's go to the next line, and double and weight. And then we're also going to, our dog makes sounds, so we're going to go and create a sound for it. Now, if you want to have the constructor in animal, go ahead and handle initializing that stuff. You're going to put a colon here after that, and then you're going to follow that up with animal, and then you're going to pass in all of the things that animal can initialize for us. So it can initialize name, height, and weight, and it will. So let's go and get this, and then that leaves you with the thing that it cannot initialize, which is going to be our sound. So we're going to sound is equal to whatever the sound was that was passed inside of here. All right, so we got our dog constructor going here. Everything's looking pretty good. We're also going to overwrite to string. So we're going to go void dog and to string, and we're going to print out all kinds of stuff. So what are we going to do? Can I copy the to string that's up here so I don't have to type all that out? I think I can do a lot of stuff. Let's just go and copy that, come back down here, and paste that inside of here. So we're going to go and get the name. Or actually, you know what? I'm going, I'm not going to be able to access that. So the reason why is because name is private, height is private, and weight is private. Now, if this was set as protected, I would be able to get that. So let's just save that. And remember, whenever it was giving me all these errors down here inside of here, well, now it's not. And the reason why is anything that inherits, I'm going to keep this as private though, just to make life a little bit more complicated. And now if we come down here, you're going to see there's errors. Well, you might not be able to see, but these are all underlined. And it specifically is saying, let's click on the error message, unable to resolve identifier name. It's private, so the inherited class, which is dog, cannot access it. So what are we going to need to do? We're going to have to call get name. So let's come in and let's go and call get name. And there we go. That problem was resolved pretty easily, actually. And then we'll go and get height, and then we'll also go and get weight, and there we go. So we were able to access them even though we couldn't access them directly. Then we'll come down here and we will get rid of that, and we'll say and says, and put a space inside of there, and then we can go and get our sound that our dog makes. So sound, and then we can follow that up with a new line. And there we are. So we overwrote that and everything looks good. Now let's save that and come down here and test everything in our main function. So let's go and let's create a new dog object. So I'm going to call my dog Spot. And I'm going to pass Spot inside of here. And 38 and 16. And we'll change the wolf so that we can see that it was indeed changed. And what else do we want to do? Well, let's go and call toString because that's the easiest way to get some things going here. So, whoops, there we are. Got that saved, and let's run it. Oh, got an error here. What did I do? Forgot to put in get height right there. That's what the error message is saying. And run it again. And here you can see Spot is 38 centimeters tall, 16 kilograms in weight. And then you can see that Spot was destroyed. And if we, whoops, let's move this over here a little bit. And you can see, and says wolf. And then you can see that Spot was destroyed, Tom was destroyed, and Fred was destroyed. All right, so cool stuff. Last thing we want to do here before we move on to our extremely complicated problem is I want to call my static method that is going to tell us how many different animal objects were created ultimately. See if you can guess what that is. So I'm going to go number of animals and come out of this. And then to access the number of animals, you just go animal and get num of animals and throw that in there. And there we go. And run it. And look at that. Number of animals is equal to 3. And the 3 includes not only dog, Spot, the dog object named Spot, but also the 2 objects that were created. And the reason why is because we were calling the constructor for animal. All right, so good stuff. And up next, we are going to cover a pretty complex problem that should be a lot of fun to make. And that is specifically how to create 2 warriors and then have them fight to the death. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. Don't know if you remember this from before, but basically this is the output that I want. I want you to have 2 warriors, and in this situation, one's named Thor, one's named Hulk. It's much better to allow the user to input information, and this is exactly what's going to print out on the screen. I'm going to come in here though and actually do the main part for you so that you can see the basic what you're going to do. Now, anytime we're doing something like this in which a bunch of random things are going to be happening, it's probably going to be a good idea to use random number generators. And here I want to seed my random number generator. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have a warrior object, and it's going to be something like Thor, and Thor is going to be receiving the name Thor. He's going to receive a health amount. He is going to receive an attack amount, and he is going to receive a block amount. And then we're going to do the same thing for our Hulk. So Hulk, there we are. Throw Hulk inside of there, and Hulk. There's there. And then let's say Hulk has more health, but maybe Hulk doesn't have as much power as Thor, and maybe not as great of an ability to block. All right. Then after you create those 2 things, what you're going to do is you're going to have another class that's going to represent your battle. and there's going to be a function inside of it called start fight, and you are going to pass in Thor, and you're going to pass in Hulk, and it's just going to work. And that is the entire main part. See how nice and neat that is? It's fantastic. So what I want you to do, you can either, I'm going to give you another tip if you're really confused about this, which is just, I'm going to do a little basic walkthrough without any code to give you a little bit of a hint. Otherwise, you can pause your screen now and try to create this, or get just one more simple hint. Okay, so the hint is that you are going to have a class that is going to be called Warrior, of course. That's not much of a hint, though. And inside of it, you are going to have two functions, and they are going to be public, obviously. So you're going to have a public function, and it is going to be known as attack. I'm not going to tell you what the code is inside of it. You're just going to have to know that it's going to be called attack. And you're also going to have another function inside of it called block. And there you go. And I think that's all I'm going to give you is hint-wise in regards to what your warrior class is going to look like. You guys have been asking me for a more complicated problem. Well, I'm giving it to you. Then you're also going to have a class called battle, obviously, because, you know, I just told it, it's right there. It's not much of a hint. And inside of it, you're going to have a start fight. Now, basically what's going to happen is you're going to pass warriors into the start fight function. Why don't I just go in here and do this? So you're going to have, and let's make it static, just like here, because it makes sense. It's basically the battle class is going to be a utility class. So it's going to be static. It's not going to return anything. And it's just going to be start fight. And it's going to receive both of the warriors in some special way. And it is then going to compare attack values to block values, and it is going to spit out a result, and also it's going to provide a way to end our attack and say that the battle is over and one of the warriors won and the other one didn't win or died. And then on top of that, you might want to go and create another function, and it also should be static. You might choose to do this in a different way than I did, and it is basically going to return something or not, and I called it get attack result. And it's basically going to receive two warriors, and it is going to calculate damage and so forth and so on and decide who wins. All right, so I think I gave you enough tips for you to be able to stumble through this at least, and give it a go. Pause your video right now, and otherwise I'm going to show you exactly how I solved this kind of complicated problem. All right, so back up inside of here. What different types of things are we going to need for our warrior? Well, public. What is going to be some attributes our warrior will have? Well, you know what? Let's keep everything private and protected. So I'm going to say private, and the two attributes a warrior is going to have is it's going to have an attack maximum, and it's also going to have a block maximum, and that's going to go along with these two guys right here, and I think that's all that I need for that. What else are we going to need? Well, obviously, I'm going to keep this public because I don't think this is information that needs to be protected. I'm going to have the name be defined inside of here, and also we're going to need access to change the health. So to keep things kind of easy, I could do the setters and the getters and so forth, but I'm just going to go in here and put health inside of there. Now, what else do we need? Well, we're going to need a constructor for our warrior, and that is going to be structured like warrior, and we're going to go and we're going to define it directly inside of here just to show you that that can be done as well. So it's going to receive a name, it's going to receive a health amount, it's also going to receive a attack maximum amount, and it's going to receive a block maximum amount. Let's go and throw that inside of there, and then I need to set all these values. You know how I do that. And I use that pointer operator is going to be equal to the name that was provided. And I'm going to do the same for all these other guys. So go health, and we'll also do the attack maximum. Just go and copy that, and attack maximum, and attack maximum. The names are the same, right? Yes. And block max as well. So there is our constructor that is going to receive those values and assign them to each of our warrior objects. Okay, so what are we going to do down inside of attack? Well, we're just going to do something very simple. We're just going to go return, and we're going to get a random value, and we are going to do modulus and this to get our attack amount that our different warriors are going to do. Okay, pretty simple. I mean, one line of code in a function, pretty easy. Then what are we going to do? Well, we're just going to change this to block max, and that is going to go and allow us to block attacks. And guess what? That's it. There is your entire warrior class. Pretty simple, and this is a pretty good example of the type of classes you should try to make. So there you go. We went in and created that. Now we get down into our battle class. What are we going to do here? Basically, we're going to pass warriors into our function, start fight right here, and we're going to pass them by reference. Why are we doing that? We're passing them by reference so that we will be able to change the values and the values will stay the same. So how do we pass by reference? I've covered this in the past, of course. And if you're getting any of this wrong or anything, don't worry about it. It's a very complicated problem. This is a challenging one. So every once in a while we need to challenge ourselves to think in new ways. And I'm going to say warrior 2. And I'm very, very doubtful that you're solving this exactly the same way that I'm solving it. Because, you know, I don't know. You might be newer at this or whatever. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a technique that I used before. And this is going to continue to loop forever until one of our warriors' health goes below 0. So I'm going to use the while true. And then inside of here, I'm going to create the situation in which we are going to end it. So I'm going to go get attack result. And get attack result is going to pass over warrior 1 and warrior 2. Then what it's going to do is it's going to compare. So I'm going to go compare to, and what I'm going to do here, just because I think this makes the code easy to understand, I'm actually going to have the function get attack result pass back a string that's going to say game over. And if game over is indeed passed back, it will signal that the game is indeed over. And here I'm using compare. Anytime you compare two things and they are equal, the compare function is going to return the value of 0. And that's what I did right there. All right, so we got all of that all set up. And then what I'm going to do, as you saw in the output, sample output that I provided before, if indeed one of the warriors triumphs over the other one, let's throw a new line inside of there, I'm going to end this, and then I call break to kill the whole entire while loop and end our program. So pretty cool stuff. Then what I'm going to do, because I have two warriors, see, the first time I'm attacking with one warrior, the second time I'm going to attack with the other warrior. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to like this, and then I'm just going to change this to 2 and 1. So warrior 1 is going to get a chance to attack warrior 2, and then warrior 2 is going to get a chance to attack warrior 1. And that's all I need to do. Everything else is exactly the same. Now what I need to do is figure out how I am going to handle get attack result. What am I going to do to figure out how that is done? Well, I'm going to receive a reference to the same warrior objects so that whenever I change one, it's going to affect the other one. And I'm going to go warrior and again reference and warrior, and I'm going to call this warrior B. Then down inside of here, I'm going to go and get our attack amount. So I'm going to go warrior A attack amount is going to be equal to warrior A attack. And remember, that's a random value that is being created for us. And then I'm going to do a similar thing for warrior B. So I'm going to go warrior B because I have to figure out what his or her block amount is. So there's the block amount. And to do that, I just call block on this. And there we go. Now I got that. Okay, then what am I going to need to do? Well, I need to figure out how much damage has been done. So I'm going to go damage to warrior B is equivalent to, and I think I'm going to round this up. So I'm going to go ceiling and warrior A attack amount minus warrior B block amount. Okay, got that all set. I also want to protect against a negative value coming out of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a ternary operator. So I'm going to say damage to warrior B is going to be equal to, And that's going to be, I'm just going to copy this instead of constantly typing this in here. So I'm going to go damage to warrior B is less than or equal to 0. In the situation in which that comes back as true, I want to set the value as 0. Otherwise, I'm going to let it remain exactly what it is. So that just makes sure I don't get a negative attack value, which could throw this into an infinite loop. And what else do I want to do? Oh, well, I'm going to go and subtract the damage from the health. So I'm going to go warrior B and health. And that is going to be equal to whatever warrior B's health is prior to the attack minus whatever damage to warrior B was. So we got that in there. And then the rest of it's just going to be printing out all the information. So I'm going to say printf, and I'm going to want to put in the name of the warrior. And I'm going to say attacks and get the other warrior's name and deals. And then I want to get the amount of damage that was done. And then, of course, damage followed by a new line. Then I just put in the different things. I'm going to say warrior A, name, and oops, I want to change this. I want this as a string for printf. So if you have a string like this, to get this to work with string f using the % and s sign, I almost forgot about this, you're going to have to put C underscore TR in there like that to have that show up. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing for warrior B. So let's throw warrior B inside of there. And then I'm going to have output damage to warrior B, whatever that unheard of value is. So let's throw that inside of there. And there we go. Cool stuff. So what else are we down? Oh, then I wanted to print out how much damage has been done to our warrior that we have here. So once again, I'm going to go % and S. Let's move this up the whole way so you can see everything at once. Is down to, and then I'm going to print out the health amount that the warrior is after the attack. And I am then going to go and get warrior B's name, which is right here, and paste that inside of there. And then I'm also going to go and get the health amount for that warrior. So I have to go warrior B and health. And then what else am I going to have to do? Well, if the health is below 0, then I know I have to pass back game over. Otherwise, I'll pass back nothing, or I'll pass back, something. So I'm going to go, if the health for the warrior is less than or equal to 0, well, that means the warrior is dead. So that means I have to handle that. So I'm going to say print a message like I did before. So I'm going to say printf, and we're going to go has died, and then we'll print out the other warrior's name is victorious, and new line, and then we'll print this out. So that would be warrior B is going to be the warrior that died in this situation, and then warrior A is going to be the warrior that continues alive. So we go like this and like that. And anything else we need? Well, yes, of course, I'm going to have to go return and game over, and that is a signal that the game is over. And otherwise, I don't really need to return anything, but I'm just going to go and return fight again just because I like the way that looks in the code. It makes the code a little bit more readable. All right, so did it all. And please, if you got this to work in any type of code that you did on your own, please leave that in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate seeing what you guys came up with. I think that's very cool. And it also helps other people, different ways of thinking. So let's run it and see if I made any errors. I probably did. Yes, I did. Okay, C++ requires a type specifier for all declarations. This is line 47. Let's see what I accidentally typed inside of here. Oh, I see. I forgot to put in that I was going to be returning a string. All right, so I got that. Let's run it. Anything else? Yes, line 63 it says right here. Oh, I accidentally typed in 2 equal signs. Save it and run it. And there we go. Looks like it worked beautifully. So we're going to have Thor attacking Hulk. So we're going to have Thor attacks Hulk and does 5 damage. Hulk is down to 130 health. What did he start with? 135. Looks good. Then Hulk attacks Thor to deal 0 damage. He must have missed, or Thor threw up some sort of storm or something in his way. Thor attacks Hulk, does 10 damage, down to 120. And you can see that they are attacking each other over and over and over again until finally Thor is down to -7 health. We might want to correct that and have that be 0 if it is equal to or less than 0. But either way, it's fine as far as I'm concerned. And Thor has died and Hulk is victorious. So, like I said, please, if you went and did this problem and you solved it in some other neat way, please leave that in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It was fun to make. And like always, please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.